We're pleased to have Niall Stanage from The Hill in our studio. Lucky day for us.
Good lucky day for me, too.
Yes,
good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Okay, so a bit of a skirmish on Capitol Hill with these protesters, some of them having signs up that said, "My life is not negotiable." Can we settle this once and for all? Are Republicans intending on cutting Medicaid as part of this deal?
Well, depends what you call cutting. What they are proposing is to toughen the work requirements for Medicaid.
Okay.
So if you were able-bodied and had no dependents, you would have to work about 80 hours a month. And Democrats, particularly on the left of the Democratic Party, and those activists you're talking about, have a huge objection to that.
Okay, what else is going to be cut, or what could be detrimental to someone who is not in favor of the Republicans' plan?
Well, they're trying to cut ultimately about $4 trillion over a decade. Now, part of that isn't all that offensive. Part of it is just restoring spending to 2022 levels. But there are things like environmental credits that would be moved back on. Another less controversial one is taking back unused COVID funds. That seems like something that might be more widely or more easily agreed upon.
Are you talking about the money that's already earmarked for COVID relief that isn't used or hasn't been used and won't be used because, May 11th,
exactly.
The emergency declaration is over.
We're all done with that, and there's still billions of dollars sitting in the kitty for it. So
well,
can we get it back?
Yeah,
please?
what's going with that? What's happening with that money?
Well, the suggestion is that we could take it back, and that would be part of the things that cut the costs, cut government spending.
Just weights and balances would be more even.
Exactly, and if you want to reach a certain figure, you can say, well, look, we can take that back, and that'll help us toward that goal.
Well, they better, both sides better agree with that, because I don't understand why you wouldn't want to dip into that money that's not going to be used until we have the next epidemic, which we don't want to wish on anybody. Let's talk a little bit about President Biden. He traveled for, or is traveling for, the G7 summit in Japan. Was that the right decision, considering that he and House Republicans are still at a stalemate?
Probably not, short answer. Now, I think that on one hand, you could say, well, he can negotiate from anywhere. But the symbolism is important in these issues. The idea that the president can be there, can push things through. That is maybe political theatre, but important political theatre. Being on the other side of the world when crunch time arises, that's not so great.
Yeah, and I was actually hoping that we would hear that some progress had been made, and that's why he was leaving. It's like, oh my gosh, they had a great meeting. He and Kevin McCarthy had tea. No, not so much.
Well, a tea is good, but an agreement isn't necessarily in the offing right now.
No,
we'll see.
all right.
Looking more hopeful.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Niall Stanage, good to see you. We'll see you a little bit later on Morning in America. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.